This conference will now be recorded.
For the people who weren't aware, was owned by a company called Goldschmidt based in Germany, and through a series of acquisitions, Goldschmidt has grown organically from which is still very much focused on alumothermic welding, but they've now branched out into rail grinding machines, rail measurement equipment, etc., etc. And we have been rebranded under this Goldschmidt Smart Rail Solutions. So with the same people, particularly Mick Wainwright, who I'm sure some of you know, who still work for the company, but we now, the thermic welding name you will see less and less, and you'll see this Goldschmidt with the strapline Smart Rail Solutions. So I've got to say that bit. We're still the same people, but we're now Goldschmidt. And just to give you a bit of background, 125 years of experience, primarily focused in the early days with alumothermic welding. As I say, recently branching out into other spheres, all focused on the railway and specifically on the rail. Just to give you some idea, so original thermic welding, as you know, I think we're the second largest world provider of insulated rail joints, and but we don't sell any in the UK, funnily enough. I know it's a kind of a shrinking market to a greater or lesser extent, but Goldschmidt is the world's second leader in insulated rail joints. So if anybody knows anybody or is interested in rail joints or approval of rail joints on the network rail, then let me know and I'll be really, really happy to speak to you. We've got grinding solutions, essentially mobile grinding machines with a vehicle road rail solutions, and tools and machinery, and measuring and equipment, which I don't know if anyone's familiar with the company called Grav, G-R-A-W. They, even though I say so myself, they do make some quite innovative and smart products that are current. We have one or two currently going through network rail approval, so that's quite interesting. And as I say, road rail vehicles, people have heard of SRS road rail vehicles. Well, they are now owned by Goldschmidt. So there's quite a large portfolio out there of products beyond rail welding. If anyone's got any questions, you can either ask as we go along or wait till the end. It's fine. I'm not bothered either way. So just feel free to butt in it if and when you would like. So we're going to specifically talk about what we call the Smartworld Ace, or accelerated cooling equipment. And this was born out initially by London Underground, who actually came to us with a problem where they were getting shorter and shorter and shorter lead times to do their maintenance, and then specifically to do their welding maintenance. And they asked us to come up with some solutions or ideas whereby they could reduce the possessions and thereby reduce, the amount of time they were spending on track. And as people may or may not be aware, alumothermic welding is very much governed by time, and the process takes a very specific amount of time, and that time, for a good number of years has been very much set and couldn't be shortened. So before shearing, that process is really set and it can't really be shortened, but after shearing, we looked at how we could shorten that process, because as you can see, for a normal weld, it's normally 30 minutes, and for an HRW or a head repair weld, 50 minutes. And we looked at, cleverer people than me looked at by increasing the cooling rate during this period could potentially save some time. But of course, metallurgically, it's very important to maintain the metallurgical integrity of the weld, and you need to maintain obviously the pearlitic structure. So the Smartworld Ace was designed and developed to force the cooling after shearing and to control the cooling rates, but by at the same time decrease the length of time involved. In a second. So just some features, as you can see. I'll go on to the property later, but water's delivered through a fixed pump at a fixed delivery rate, and this is very crucial, that the delivery rates and the fixed rates of how you deliver that. I say water, but it is water, but in essence, it's a very, very fine mist that's controlled by nozzles. And there was an extensive amount of work done on size of nozzles with the orifice and how much water or mist was delivered over a length of time. And it's very important to realize that, the amount of mist or water you're delivering is crucial to that cooling rate. And it was also important through various restraints these days in health and safety that the equipment was light, but it was also robust, and it's battery powered, so there's no need for mains power, and it can be charged up while back at the depot, during the day or during the night, whichever the shift you're not working on. And there's 2 cooling heads, so there's one for a standard weld and one for a head repair weld. So just to go through the broad process, so this is after we've sheared the weld, and this is on a standard weld. So once sheared, the top of the mold is removed, as you would normally expect, with the head and the risers removed, and you move all the associated mold material. And after 8 minutes from completion of tap, so that's when we say tap, that's when the weld is finished, coming from below the SUC, we place the shroud over the top of the weld area and turn on the mist spray. And it's very difficult to show in a still photograph, but that photograph you can see on the right there, you can see that sort of mist coming off the welded area. And as I say, it is an extremely fine mist. We are by no means whatsoever, to use a pun, pouring water over the weld. We are spraying an extremely fine mist. So after the application of the spray for a period of 8 minutes, again, this is all timed, computer controlled by the control box I showed you earlier. After 6 months, after 16 minutes at this point, the cooling head can be removed. So at that point, then the weld is, you can then start taking all your alignment welds, and all the fixings can be replaced, and you can actually start grinding. So the weld now should be below 400 degrees, and you can check this. We supply a temple stick, and you can check the temperature all over that weld to check. Note that the cooling head, you can keep it on for longer than that if you wish, but the 16 minutes is the time we recommend. So we're just getting through a few benefits, just sort of, shall we say, cutting down a few benefits that can be used. So when installing a standard thermic weld or HWW, the main benefit here is it reduces time between the weld and then grinding. Welding with S&C, and also installing a closure rail on CWR up to. And so we can read on the side. So what I've done is I've put on the side the benefits that might be. So there's also benefits in time, and there's also benefits in health and safety to the welder by reducing the time and reducing the heat and exposure, etc., etc. So installing a standard weld, we get a circa 15-minute saved at the point where the final weld can be ground. If the Ace is applied for 20 minutes, the weld will be geometrically stable and can be inspected on completion of the ground. And an important point, we use approximately 2 litres of water per weld. And as a welder, a welding team will always carry water with them. There's no extra weight or any extra kind of materials or equipment required, and all the equipment required to carry the water we provide in the equipment within the equipment that we supply. With a HRW weld, which we believe there's going to be far more requirement from Network Rail and London Underground, you get a 30-minute saving on installation time, which commences, as previously stated, after shearing, which is 18 minutes. So there's a huge saving to be made on HRW welds and time. S&C installation. We're thinking about here because you've got, when you're doing 4 welds and between the joints on the end of each leg, the welders are not having to work over very hot welds. It's safer and far more comfortable for the welder to be moving between those welds. Obviously with the 20-minute saving, again, we're talking about quite a significant amount of time. But with S&C here, we're talking about safety because you're very often welding 4 welds in quite close proximity to one another. And enclosure welds, I won't read through it here again, but we're talking about time saving here again, and the amount of welds done within close proximity, and health and safety for the people involved. Maintenance and reliability, which is always important, particularly when people are going out on night shift, etc., or they're using these more than once over the night. So obviously there's a lithium-ion battery within the. It's fully enclosed. It can't be messed with. It can't be removed. It has to be done with us. We have to have the kit back to do any maintenance. So the idea is you charge the machine up or the kit up overnight or during the day. You obviously should make sure that the battery is fully charged before you leave. As you can see on the display, it will show you that you've got enough voltage in the battery before you leave for your shift. You also should check that the nozzles, as you can see there, are clean and free from any debris. It's very, very important that those nozzles are clean and free from any debris, because they are crucial to the amount of water, mist or spray that is applied to the weld. And we do supply spares with any kit that you may or may not purchase. At the moment, we've done the kit is approved by Network Rail and it's about a month ago, 2 months ago now, and we are currently training welders for the use of the Ace. And at the moment, they have been trained in Anglia, Kent and Sussex, LNW, LNE, Scotland, and Western. And at the moment, we're on a process of also training trainers, so it can be rolled out much quicker. And just as a kind of a proof, there is the PA certificate from Network Rail for both standard and HRW welds. Okay, I'm sorry, that's 25 minutes I think I've done there, 20-25 minutes, not an hour. So I hope that's okay. And if you've got any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or this my colleague Mick Wainwright, who's always on this call, would be happy to answer them.
Brilliant, thanks for that, Neil. Just realised I forgot to introduce myself as well. I'm Pete Verriard, co-chair of the section. Has anyone got any questions for Neil? If you just either write them in the chat and I can read them out for you, or feel free just to unmute yourself and ask them.
It's Les Fox here. Could I just ask, is this equipment appropriate for where you're doing flashback welding? Or I don't know anything about welding, I'll say that now.
No, it's not. It should be. I should have stated that at the beginning. It's not approved for flashback welding, and it is not also not approved to be used with any other process suppliers welding equipment. It's only approved to be used with Thermit/Goldschmidt products. So the answer to your question is no, it's not. No, it's not approved for flash butt welding. No.
Okay, thanks, Neil.
Got a question from Philip Ransom there, Neil, just asking, can you elaborate on the time saving for the installation of a closure rail? Is it 15 minutes or 3 times 15 minutes cumulative?
3 times 15 minutes cumulative.
Brilliant. So Neil, just one from myself. By the sounds of it, was this system designed with purely the maintenance organisation in mind, or is it something that would be suitable for a larger scale renewal or project?
Yeah, it's true to say we generally work with maintainers, and it was born out of a need to with possessions and getting shorter possessions and therefore maintenance. But there's absolutely no reason whatsoever it couldn't be used on renewals now. But
I think the points.
Yeah.
Sorry, Neil, go on.
No, but I'm saying, but it was initially from a maintenance requirement.
Yeah, I think the points you raised about the time savings is something that kind of was particularly exciting for myself from a project and S&C renewals background, just based on the fact that we're constantly looking to save on any time in the program, particularly for things like welding activities. So it's really interesting actually hearing about that.
Yeah.
I think Philip's got another question. Sorry,
if you would let me have your details, then I'd be happy to send you more information. More than happy to.
Yeah, definitely. I will do. I've got your email address, Neil, from the communications in the section, so I'll email across my details to you. Philip has got another question there, just saying, is the process approved for wide gap welds?
No, it's not at the moment. No, but we are looking at that.
You probably just got a. Has anybody else got any other questions? I've probably got one more, but just see if anybody else wants an opportunity to ask. I think the one thing I was just going to ask Neil is I've never really had a massive amount of exposure to kind of the companies who carry out any of our welding on site. As an example, I generally kind of just turn up and just kind of watch people doing it. Is there much? Do you get much opportunity to carry out kind of innovation and to develop new projects for the UK market, or is this a bit of a kind of a something a bit out of the ordinary?
I'm relatively new to the rail welding business, although not the rail. And I think I think it's a slope. It's kind of what's going to say. It's a slow moving, and innovation isn't always easy to come by.
Yeah.
By the very nature of it, you've got to be very careful. About it. There's only so much you can do because the integrity of the weld is important, and we're always looking to make innovation. But what we found, and what I found throughout different facets of the railway, the ideas and the need for innovation has really got to come from the marketplace to a greater extent. Else, it's very difficult for Network Rail or even London Underground to embrace something that, shall I be dares the bold, that they don't see a need for or don't want. So if Network Rail wants something or London Underground wants something, and this is a great example of that, then they buy into it, and they're very keen and they're very sort of helpful is the best way to put it. So I always find the best
Yeah.
innovation comes when it actually comes from the marketplace, and then we can use our expertise with the product to develop it. But and it's always quite slow for the marketplace to come with it. Requests for innovation, shall I put it like that? And I hope that's not a cop out, but I genuinely believe that is the truth. That we although we put ideas forward, we have to kind of be led by the market.
Definitely, yeah, that makes complete sense, especially from obviously following the product approval processes.
To get something through product approval, as you can imagine, is very, very difficult. To get something through product approval, dare I say that Network Rail don't want or feel the need for, is borderline impossible.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think there's a question in the chat from Sergio Neves. He said the UK and most countries use vertical distances as weld assessment criterion. The Netherlands made an extensive study and concluded that they correlate poorly with performance. Now they use slope instead of vertical distances. Is this something Goldsmith are looking into or looking at?
I'll be honest, I don't know the answer to that question, but if you could email me that question, I will certainly put it forward to people who might know a little bit more about that than I do. I will certainly, if you email me that question, I will get an answer to you as soon as I can.
Are you happy for me to put your email in the chat, Neil, in case anybody's got any questions for yourself?
Absolutely. And this is a bit of an unusual forum, this, isn't it, when we can't see anybody. So maybe, if people have got any questions, more than happy to email me and I will reply.
Yeah, definitely. It's always
yeah.
I think every online meeting we've had, the questions kind of don't flow as well as they would do if we're kind of together as a group.
And I certainly don't profess to be an expert, but we certainly do employ experts who can answer the questions.
Does anybody else on the call got any questions for Neil? Just while I get your email address to plop in the chat. Do you generally, probably just another one from me, do you generally find that you interface more with Transport for London or with Network Rail? I'd always assume,
Network Rail, we are not, maybe myself or any one of my colleagues, I would say, is in daily contact with Network Rail.
Yeah.
Daily contact.
You